Well, hey there, JJ crew. Journey John here, and welcome to the Star Citizen Persistent Universe Beginner's Guide. So, if y'all want to, make sure to go ahead. If y'all enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're going to be jumping right into this. So, whenever you start out, you're going to be choosing a spaceport. I believe right now it makes you choose Hurston, so that's where we're going to be starting out for this gameplay. You can choose your server region. Usually you can set it at best and it'll put you where you are. So we're now loaded into the game, and whenever you're laying in bed, what you're going to do is you're going to hit Y on the keyboard and you're going to get up out of bed. And now to interact with objects, you can hold F and you'll see there's a little cursor that you can move around, and then you can click to interact with any objects that have like an orange outline around them. So like this call elevator button, so you hold F, hit the call elevator button, and then it should head up towards you. You can also hold F and use your scroll wheel to zoom in and out, just to like look at distant objects and things. It's kind of handy whenever you're flying around and you're trying to like see exactly what's going on ahead of you, trying to pick out the positions of turrets and things. You can also use it to select different floors for your elevator as well. So if you're unfamiliar with this game, this is a multiplayer online game. Basically, your main goal right now is to go out and perform different types of contracts and missions, and basically earn the currency called AUEC, and you can use that to buy armor, weapons, ship upgrades, and that's pretty much all that's in the game so far as rewards goes. So this is the TISA Spaceport. This is actually where you'll be flying out and landing. You can actually see the hangars over in the distance over there. But first we're gonna go take a walk around. I believe the name of this town is Lorville, if I remember correctly. So we're gonna look around. We're gonna try to find Tammy and Sons. It's a place where you can buy armor and clothing and a few gadgets. The Hurston is a kind of an industrial planet. You'll see that it's very dirty around here. There's a lot of dust and dirt everywhere. This is the admin office. So every port and city will have an admin office. You can come here. These are refineries, so you can hold F and touch screen, and then here you can sell things that you've mined. So any ore or like metals or rock. And then this is a trading and shipping console. So you can do trading. You can buy stuff here, store it on your ship, take it to another location, whether it's another port or city or just like a base on a planet somewhere, and you can sell for profit, hopefully. There's some good websites you can look at to tell you what's the most valuable things and give you some trade routes as well, which is pretty handy. Mining currently is the best way to make money in the game, but it's not exactly like the most exciting in terms of gameplay, so there's a lot of different options for you to earn. My favorite personally is bounty hunting. So over here is Tammy and Sons. Speaking of mining, you'll see that they have some kind of gear, some outfits, some helmets that are all good for mining. So they have a bunch of different stuff on display over here. You can hold F and highlight stuff and take a look at it. You can even try on outfits if you want to. Currently, I don't know that I would recommend it because your armor can get bugged out. It takes a while for the server to update, so it can take a long time, or it may just fail to put your armor back on after you tried out an outfit, which is what happened to me earlier. This is the Pembroke armor. So this is good for a very hot environment. You can see over here it says it'll keep you safe up to 255 degrees Celsius, but it is expensive. It's a full heavy armor set that's under the undersuit, I think, for 10,000 AUEC. You can find a cold weather set over by Microtech. If you pull out your map over here and you zoom all the way out with your scroll wheel, you can go to Microtech, and there's a port above New Babbage where you can find this other armor. Port Tressler, I believe is how you pronounce that. So that's where you can find cold weather armor, which makes sense because that's Microtech is a very, very cold place as it's further out within the system, away from the sun. And then you can also use these consoles over here, so you can buy straight from those like clothing racks and displays, or you can go to these like little monitors and find different stuff to pick up and work with. You have different clothing options, so different shirts, different jackets that you can choose from, as well as pants, boots, gloves, and footwear, so shoes. So there's a lot of cool different variety, and each location that you go to has different types of clothing. If you want really, really cool looking armor or clothes, I would highly recommend going to Grimhex, which I believe is in orbit around Yella, which is a moon of Crusader, if I have that right. So you can also buy a plastic bag to put on your head here, because the air is very dirty here at Hurston. So I like that. It's a funny little touch, I think. Unfortunately, those won't help you in like a vacuum, so there's no like oxygen supply with those types of helmets, because there's one on Microtech that you can buy to protect you from like cold weather, but it doesn't help you with oxygen essentially. So these are all the different undersuits. There's a ton of different options, different colors that you can choose. And here you can even buy some different weapons. You can buy a flare, a hand cannon, a knife. This multi-tool is really nice if you want to do some FPS or first-person mining. It even has some attachments that you can buy. One is specifically for mining. This mining, whatever it's called. Yeah, just a mining attachment. And the other one is like a cutter. So I don't exactly know if there's any use for this other attachment, the cutter attachment, in game at this point, but I'm assuming it's going to be either for like vehicle repairs or maybe even some like pirating. So like trying to cut your way through like bulkheads or doors and things. And then you also have some different kind of helmets that you can buy as well. Some different armor pieces. So you got armors, arms, torso, and legs. And these all have different armor ratings. If you want to, the torso in particular, the type of armor that you have equipped will determine how much you can carry in terms of like, if you run with a heavy armor, you can use 2 primary weapons, and you have like, I believe 8 slots for different types of like ammo clips that you can equip at the same time. Where if you're running a medium armor set, you can only have equipped 1 primary weapon and fewer magazines to go along with it. So you can hold F here, and you can in this game there's survival mechanics for like thirst and hunger, and so you can actually stow this on your person and it'll go into your inventory. So the way you want to access your inventory is you can pull up your inner thoughts menu by holding F and right clicking. You can go up to your personal inventory and the server will update. It's slow, it's very slow, but it will appear there. And it'll even give you your carrying capacity as well. So whenever you're doing mining, that's where all of your rocks will like show up, and it'll show you how much capacity you have in terms of that. And you can also choose some emotes from there as well. The quicker way to go in your inventory is just to hit I. So that's generally what I do. And then if I need to do something like unequip my helmet to eat, I also do it through that menu. Make sure to put your helmet on though before you go out if you're like on a spaceport, because I can't tell you how many times I've died going out not having a helmet on, like into the vacuum of space, and it just doesn't go well for me. If you're ever stuck, you can hold backspace, which is what I did, and basically off yourself. And you can also do the same thing if you want. If you're in a ship and you're stuck, you can hold backspace and it'll cause the ship to self-destruct. But it's usually faster to just press Y, get up out of the seat, and then backspace because it just doesn't take as long. So we're here. There is time of day as the planets, or as time progresses, the planets revolve around the sun and rotate and stuff. So you have a full time of day cycle for all these locations. So it's now nighttime, and we're going to go to the Tisa Spaceport. So each city has like a tram system essentially set up to where it'll take you to different locations throughout the city. So this is kind of a area where people kind of go shopping, and you have the apartments essentially where you spawn. And so we'll wait here, wait for the train to show up, and it is now arrived, so we can get on it. Everything here is pretty much fully persistent unless you have a server crash. They fixed it to where you'll have everything you've earned between server updates, which is nice. But if you log out of a server, or if the server crashes, you lose everything in your inventory and in your ship's inventory, which is why trading is kind of risky. Mining is also risky, but since it's a little bit faster, it's not quite as risky as like trying to haul stuff from one planet to another, because you just go from the planet that you're at to a spaceport to go turn in at the admin office. So that big building in the background over there is part of the Hurston Central Business District. So once you get off, there's actually two ways to get there. You can get it from the area that we were just in, or there's another tram once we get to the spaceport, and it'll also take you to the Central Business District. It actually, like, visually speaking, it reminds me a lot of what's the name of the movie? Not Cyberpunk. Blade Runner 2049 specifically. They have different like trading consoles there as well, so you can actually buy other things, and it has different, I think it has different options for what you can purchase there, as opposed to just the regular admin office next to the apartment building. And it also has a Hurston Dynamics place where you can buy different types of like ship weapons. So those consoles over there to your right that had the like the little like sword icon is a place where you can go and pay off your bounties, or not your bounties, but your fines, I guess. So whenever you like incur a crime stat or you do some kind of illegal activity, you'll incur a fine. This is New Deal. This is a place where you actually can buy ships in game. So they have a few ships on display over here. I believe we have a Mustang, a Constellation, and a Hammerhead. So you just hold F and you can check out the different stuff. Ships get pretty expensive. I think that's 12 million, right? And the other one was 5 million. But you can actually, if you spend a couple of weeks or something straight up mining, you can probably buy yourself one of these ships. I bought a prospector over here. We currently have, or we had the free flight going on, which let you fly a prospector for free. So I just used this, and I made 2 million, enough to actually just buy the ship myself, which is pretty handy. And then you can also go in here and look at a bunch of different ships. These consoles don't give an really accurate representation of like the attachments on things. So like missiles and thrusters and stuff will be enlarged like a lot more than they should be. So it can look a little bit funny, but you can like mouse around and turn these basically models and look at them. It's pretty cool. It gives you an idea of like what kind of stuff you can work towards by doing all these different contracts and whatnot. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna access the console, which will let us basically
welcome to the New Deal.
Retrieve a ship, and so it'll put it on a pad. So we're gonna fly Miss Freelancer, which I believe is a ship that almost everybody gets right now, no matter what kind of deal you got to buy to get into the game. So we're gonna have to take an elevator to go to Hangar 09. These elevators are weird. They're basically just cells that move around and they clip through basically the entire environment. So you can occasionally see them like pass through you and go into where you're supposed to step, which we might see here. Yeah, you can kind of see it just kind of warp into that. It's pretty funny. It's one of the more amusing things I think in this game. So we're gonna select Hangar 9, and we're gonna just be transported over to our hangar. So this is the Freelancer. This is a medium-sized ship. It's a very, very multi-function ship. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with it. It's not super maneuverable, but it's not too bad. I like it because the design reminds me of the ship from Firefly, the Serenity. It's a very clean ship for sure. It could use some like gun racks, I believe, but it's got 4 seats. It's got a turret, so it can be a multi-crew ship if you want to do that. And it's got 4 other guns as well as some missiles that you can use. I think 8 missiles in total. So you can hold F and turn on your vehicle manually, and you have some different options that you just saw there. Or you can hit R and turn it on that way. So the first thing I like to do is I like to wait until we're in our seat to pull up the contracts and start looking at them. Because every time you log into a server, it'll refresh what contracts you have available. So if you just give it some time, by the time you get to where you're ready to start doing stuff, you'll have more contracts that you're able to accept. So we're going to do an easy $2,000 bounty, essentially. So this is a level 2 bounty. And so one of the things that they really need to improve on is this galaxy map. It can be extremely finicky and frustrating to use. You basically have to just like click on the planet and then see if you can end up getting that path to go where you want it to, and then you can hit set route, and it'll, once you have that little navigation thing and it tells you however like many jumps you need to make, that's when you know that you're ready to go. And then to actually get out of the hangar, if you're in a hangar, you want to contact the landing services or the air traffic control, and they'll open the hangar doors for you so you can take off. If you're flying into a station and the area where they want you to land has the doors still closed, you can contact them again and they will open the doors for you. So if you're in a spaceport that's within a city, a lot of the times they'll have these routes that you need to fly out of, and the position of them can be on different sides. So it just depends on which hangar you're using, which way they want you to fly out. You have to stay within these bounds, otherwise it'll take over your ship in autopilot and put you back, basically back where you were before. Because this is restricted airspace, so they technically don't want you to be able to just fly wherever you want. It's also highly congested airspace as well, since it's within a city. So yes, we are now flying a ship. Space is to go up. WASD is to, if you're not using cruise control, is to increase thrusters for A, decrease thrusters for S. D will move your ship to the left, and D will move your ship to the right, and A will move your ship to the left. You can see these like outward-facing carrots kind of thing, and that actually shows you the ship's momentum. So it gives you an idea of which direction your ship is going to head in. And as you hit space, which will raise your ship, it'll actually, you can see it slowly raise, and the control will slowly lower the ship. It's really handy for trying to land in hangars, especially when it's like in front of you, because you'll know if you have the icon in the right spot, you'll know whether or not you're going to hit a wall or not, which is nice. And then you can hit Control to change your rotate, or not Control, Q and E to rotate left and right, roll left and right, which is what we're doing right there. If you have gimbaled weapons, you can hit G and it'll change your fire mode. So there's different ways to operate your gimbaled weapons. You can target manually, or you can have them auto lock onto a target. And so if it has this dotted ring around the targeting reticle, that means it's going to try to auto lock. It's generally what you want to do. Because especially for me, not all of my weapons are gimbaled, so I still have to manually aim my other guns, so it helps. Well, although on my Freelancer they are all gimbaled, on my Origin 325 they're not. Half of them are, or one of them is, and the other two are not. So on the right over there you have your shields, on the left we have our power readout. You can see that I just overclocked our 4 weapons, our energy weapons, and also our shields. So for the weapons, it'll actually help increase the fire rate. I want to guess like 1/3. And then for your shields, it increases the rate at which they will recharge. It also increases your
Please come to an immediate halt and
EMI, and your IR, I believe. So that was a security officer that was scanning us to make sure that we didn't have any like illegal cargo, or we wouldn't have like a bounty on us or anything. And if you don't halt, they will fine you 20,000 AUEC. So you want to make sure that you let them scan you, assuming that you haven't done anything illegal. So we have a fully upgraded Freelancer right now, which I just recently did this past week. So these guys are going to be a cake for us, basically. It kind of gives you an idea for the combat. The more you fire your weapons, the faster they're going to heat up. So you can see on the left there, once they're overclocked, they'll overheat very quickly. So you can kind of keep an eye on that, and kind of almost burst fire essentially. Missiles are going to be changed in the next patch. There's 2 different types of tracking right now. It's infrared and magnetic tracking. So you also have 2 different types of countermeasures. So to fire off a countermeasure, you can hit H, and to change the type of countermeasure right now, you can hit J. I believe in the patch, H will just be one type of countermeasure, and J will be the other type, which makes more sense. So you can see here, you can turn off, well, we're going to open up our map, and then we're going to go back to a port now to land, and you can go there to refuel and restock and repair. Pads are a little bit bugged right now, so it doesn't always work. Sometimes you'll have to fly up and try to get another pad. The easiest way to do that is just to not put down your landing gear and just hover above a pad, see if you can repair there, and just fly to another pad and see if it'll let you do it. So yeah, once again we're having trouble just kind of picking the exact location that we want for our quantum travel. This map is very annoying to use. The different types of quantum drive you have will determine the amount of quantum fuel that it takes to jump, the speed at which you'll get there, and the speed at which things will calibrate and spool up. So not all, like if you look at a tier 1 quantum drive, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better quantum drive for what kind of quantum drive you want, because you might want a drive that gets you more distance but might take you longer to get there. So I recommend looking at Hardpoint IO if you're looking at stuff like ship upgrades. it basically can tell you can choose which ship you're using, and it'll tell you all the different types of equipment you can buy for that ship, and you can go through and pick and choose what kind of thingy that you want. And it'll give you a quick summary for how much distance you can travel, how fast it can travel, what kind of DPS you can get, what amount of shields that you have, and stuff like that. So you can hit V and it'll turn off your coupled mode. You can hit C and it'll activate so you can see it just turned off the coupled mode. You can hit C and it'll activate cruise control. I do not recommend using cruise control when you're trying to land at a port, because it'll keep that line for your thrusters. You can move your scroll wheel up and down and it'll adjust your thrusters, so your thrusters will only go so far as where that line is. But if you hit C, it'll try to keep your thrusters at that point. So if you try to land, make sure to turn off cruise control, lower the line, as you'll see me do here later, and it'll make it easier to make fine-tune your adjustments in your positioning and stuff. It's very, very handy for landing, doing that. You can also hold in and it'll give you like an autopilot for landing as well, but it's usually faster just to do it manually, and it's not very difficult to do. Turning off couple mode, essentially it's kind of similar to cruise control. It just basically lets your ship move in whatever direction it wants to move, and whenever you have couple mode turned off, it'll actually use the thrusters to slow down your momentum and bring you back down to a zero velocity, basically. So the turning off the couple mode is kind of handy whenever you're in dogfights, because it's easier to rotate your ship around and keep track of targets that way. But whenever you're just doing normal flight, I wouldn't technically recommend using it, because it can make it more difficult to avoid things like asteroids and whatnot, because you won't slow down unless you're actively trying to counteract your movement. So again, we have to open up the
please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Friends list there, basically our communications list, and contact the air traffic control for this port or harbor. Is it Everus harbor? So they gave us a landing pad to go land at. So we put down a landing gear by hitting the key N, and so you can see our little icon there above or at the bottom left of our UI. It says that our landing gear is now active. And we are lowering our thrusters. You can see it's just below that red line there. So the red line, I believe, is your maximum mobility or your optimum mobility as far as being able to turn quickly goes. Or turn and rotate, essentially. So you can see our momentum is now, it's at the top of the screen, so I know that we're moving up and we're going to be in a good position to land. And you can even see that I'm moving it closer to center now that we're getting closer. And now that our thrusters are basically, our velocity's cut off, it kind of moves to the back.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
And if you're actually moving backwards, you'll see instead of the brackets facing out, they'll face in towards each other. So it's a handy thing to keep track of. Another thing about the the interacting, so if you're holding F and clicking on objects, you can actually just tap F and it'll give you either the top option, or in the case of doors and stuff, sometimes you only have one option anyways. So that call elevator, if you just tap F, it'll call the elevator for you. or if you're facing the door, like the back door of the freelancer, and you tap F, it'll lower that platform or the ramp for you. And it's handy for like getting in seats as well. So yeah, it's not gonna let us restock or refuel from this pad because it's bugged. Easy way to get around that is to store your ship and then bring it back out, and it'll, usually speaking, it'll put it out on a pad that's active, and it'll actually recognize that it's on the pad. So since these elevators are actual moving cells, sometimes it takes it a while to get back into position, but you can see it like just slide through the wall there, clip through everything. The elevators are very, very like interesting to me. I think it's kind of funny. So you might be thinking that this gameplay is kind of the pace of it's not super fast, and that's kind of how Star Citizen plays. Generally, it's like, I wouldn't say it's I mean, it can be a casual game, but it's a very like very deliberately paced game, and I kind of enjoy that. It's nice for, especially if you're like wanting to stream the game like I do. It gives you a lot of time to like engage with chat and stuff. It can be a very chill experience, especially if you're doing stuff like mining or trading. So the way these work, this is your fleet manager, and so we're gonna store our ship. It's gonna keep it here at Everus Harbor. We can try to move a ship. So this is a medium-sized ship, and it's at Hurston. So if you want to move it here to the harbor, you have to claim it. Also, if your ship is destroyed, you can also claim it. So like a small size ship, which is this Origin 325, it's my other ship that I have. It doesn't take quite as long to claim, so it's like half the time. And then the larger ships just like take more and more time. It can take up to like a couple hours, I think, if the ship is big enough. But yeah, so once you're landed at a port or harbor or a city, anytime you die, you'll basically just respawn right at that point. It's also handy for like logging out if you want to make sure that you're going to be in the right location next time you get on. The other option you have for logging out is if your bed has if your ship has a bed in it, not if your bed has a ship in it. You can lay down in the bed, and if you look over to the left or right side of the bed, it'll give you an option. If you if you hold F, it'll give you an option for logging out or exiting the bed. So you can log out straight from there. And the next time you get back into the game, you'll just be right in your bed. Make sure you're careful about where you do that though. You don't want to do that on a pad, because when you log in, they'll think you're illegally trespassing. And if you're within orbit, your ship will be off next time you log in, and so you'll crash down into the planet. But yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out. Hope you all enjoyed this like little intro to Star Citizen, and we'll see you all later. Have a good one, guys. Bye bye. See ya.